A motorist traveling along the Stewart Highway between Coober Pedy and Port Augusta once decided to conduct a grim experiment. While driving at 110 kilometers per hour, he measured 5-minute intervals and counted the number of dead kangaroos lining the roadside. On average, he recorded 43 carcasses in each 5-minute window. When he calculated what that meant across the entire stretch, the total seemed almost unbelievable. Nearly 2,800 dead kangaroos on a single highway. And kangaroos were only part of the picture. Cattle, sheep, and emus added to the grim tally. Every one of those animals had been struck by a driver who believed they could manage the road after dark. Some of those drivers survived the encounter. Others did not. What makes the situation even more unsettling is that nighttime accounts for only about 25% of all driving in Australia. Yet it is responsible for roughly 40% of road fatalities. In the Outback, where the closest hospital may require a helicopter trip, the risks escalate dramatically, up to 11 times higher than in major cities. That is why locals insist, not merely suggest, that you avoid night driving on certain Outback highways. By the end of this account, the reason becomes painfully clear. Before focusing on specific roads, there is one rule every experienced Outback driver understands. Stop at least 30 minutes before last light, unless you are operating a large truck equipped with a solid bull bar. This advice is not bravado, it is hard-earned wisdom. The danger of the Outback does not primarily stem from poor road conditions or reckless motorists. It is rooted in biology. As the sun sets and the bitumen cools, nocturnal animals, kangaroos, wombats, camels, and cattle gravitate toward the roadway. The cambered shoulders collect water and nurture greener grass than the surrounding scrub. Animals graze along verges, drink from drainage channels, and sometimes, particularly cattle and horses, lie directly on the warm surface to rest. At 110 kilometers per hour on a narrow, unlit highway, a 600-kilogram bull lying in your lane becomes visible only about 2 seconds before impact. There is no time to swerve. No opportunity to brake effectively. There is only collision. What turns this from dangerous to catastrophic is isolation. Mobile phones often have no signal. Another vehicle might not pass for hours. Emergency services could be 300 kilometers away. An accident that would be a serious inconvenience in Sydney becomes a life-or-death scenario in the Outback. Consider the Nullarbor Plain, where the highway stretches between South Australia and Western Australia. This region includes one of the longest, flattest, most featureless roads on Earth, including a famed 146-kilometer straight without a single bend. By day, it feels iconic, vast skies and endless horizons drawing tourists eager for bragging rights. But once darkness falls, it transforms. One safety guide described nighttime here as a marsupial rave party, hardly an exaggeration. Kangaroos, camels, dingoes, and wombats flood the road. Camels pose a particular threat. A fully grown dromedary can stand nearly 2 meters tall and weigh more than 600 kilograms. Striking one at highway speed can obliterate a vehicle's cabin. With long stretches lacking phone reception and minimal nighttime traffic, a breakdown at 2 a.m. leaves you stranded in pitch-black desert, possibly injured, with no farmhouses or town lights in sight. Just silence and the hiss of a damaged radiator. Some hire car companies will not insure vehicles driven on certain Outback roads between dusk and dawn, voiding coverage entirely. When insurers refuse to take the risk, that should command attention. The Stewart Highway, running north-south through the continent from Port Augusta to Coober Pedy, Alice Springs, and Darwin, may be the most perilous of all at night. The earlier roadkill count, 43 kangaroo carcasses every 5 minutes at highway speed, translates to roughly 1 dead kangaroo every 100 meters in some sections. And those were only the ones already lying on the road. The live animals grazing or bounding across the bitumen are the true hazard. Travelers describe areas south of Alice Springs where raised highways with crash barriers funnel panic kangaroos onto the pavement, trapping them. Some have called it a massacre. Others warn bluntly, do not drive at night, because kangaroos and livestock are out in force, making conditions genuinely dangerous. Add to that the presence of triple-trailer road trains exceeding 50 meters in length. Their slipstreams can shove smaller vehicles sideways, their dust clouds can blind drivers, and their stopping distances stretch across football fields. Swerving to avoid wildlife only to meet an oncoming road train is often fatal. Further west, the Gibb River Road in the Kimberley spans 660 kilometers of mostly unsealed track through breathtaking yet remote country. During the dry season, thousands of four-wheel drive enthusiasts tackle it. Yet safety brochures are unequivocal. Avoid night travel, especially around dusk and dawn. The road crosses open cattle stations where livestock roams unfenced. There are no streetlights and often no phone coverage. Some rental companies explicitly exclude damage sustained here between dusk and dawn. They have assessed the numbers and determined the risk is too high. When insurance coverage disappears, that signals more than caution, it signals danger. The Savannah Way stretches from Cairns to Katherine across some of northern Australia's most isolated terrain. In the Gulf country, particularly between Normanton and Borroloola, warnings intensify. Travel advisors emphasize avoiding dawn and dusk because wildlife crowds the road. Fuel stops can be separated by 200 kilometers or more. Temperatures may remain above 30 degrees Celsius after midnight during the build-up season, with humidity clinging like a wet blanket. A collision that disables your vehicle here at night, without phone service or passing traffic, can quickly become a medical emergency, especially if injuries and dehydration are involved. Even highways that appear ordinary by day can become lethal after sunset. The Sturt Highway runs through pastoral country and seems unremarkable under daylight, long, straight, and sealed. Yet motoring organizations have long advised against night driving due to kangaroos feeding along the roadside. Similar warnings apply to roads on the Eyre Peninsula between Port Augusta, Ceduna, and Port Lincoln, where kangaroos and emus frequently cross in search of food and water, especially during dry spells. These are not obscure tracks, but routes to beach holidays, carrying the same risks once darkness falls. One incident northeast of Alice Springs illustrates how quickly events can spiral. A driver traveling responsibly with a sturdy steel bull bar encountered a road train that stirred up a dense red dust cloud. From within that cloud, a cow emerged head-on. There was no time to react. The bull bar absorbed the force, killing the animal instantly. The driver later observed that leaving the carcass on the road would endanger subsequent vehicles, especially at night when visibility is minimal. In the outback, danger compounds. The first strike leaves debris that imperils the next motorist. Fatigue adds another layer. Drivers with under 5 hours of sleep are 4.5 times more likely to crash. Those with 4 hours or less face odds 11.5 times higher. At 2 a.m. on a straight desert highway, those statistics feel less like numbers and more like fate. Regional Australians experience a road death rate of 9.6 per 100,000 people, compared with 2.2 in major cities, a fourfold difference largely driven by animal strikes, exhaustion, and isolation, all of which intensify after dark. The distances are vast. Cobar PDE to Port Augusta exceeds 500 kilometers. The Gibb River Road takes days. The Savannah Way can consume a week. The temptation to push on, whether to escape afternoon heat or reach the next town before closing time, is strong. Yet locals, truck drivers, and safety authorities deliver the same message: stop before sunset. Not out of fear, but from experience. The outback is indifferent. Wildlife does not recognize approaching headlights. Road trains cannot halt instantly. Phone towers may not exist. Ambulances can be 3 hours away. Those who have driven these highways at night and survived often admit they were lucky. And luck is not a plan. Seasoned outback drivers follow a single, unwavering rule: be off the road by sunset. Not because darkness itself is terrifying, but because too many have paid the price for ignoring that boundary. Pull over. Make camp. Wait for morning light. The highway will still be there at dawn. The only uncertainty is whether you will be.